Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly settle down. I'm starting 2-3 minutes before time. We have to make sure that we finish the program in time. Well, before time, maybe because a lot of requests has come from our people. India, Australia match did not want to miss it. But anyway, the cricket country, so we can't accept. But we've got enough time. We won't eat up into time. I'll take maybe a few minutes just to remind you what's happening in MMA next few days, so that you don't miss. There's an event happening on 26th of July, 26th of June, 2 days later. Because this is an event which we designed for a series for next 5 months. 4 to 5 months will be done. This we are doing jointly. Buddhi Clinic is a partner for this. The theme of the event is Mental Well-Being Series, Unleashing the Inner Potential, Cultivating Mental Resilience for Well-Being. Why we did it? We always found, you also must have read in the newspapers, a lot of issues affecting the mental health, and this is one thing which we really do not know that we have been affected by that. Because I read in a very nice article where the conversation between the body and the mind gets disconnected, then we get into serious trouble. So we want to, the team is going to come and speak to you, how you continuously engage the conversation between the mind and the body. So it's a series with team of highly professional people going to come and speak with people in the field who are experts and achieved great accolades for themselves. Please do come on 26th July at 6 o'clock. Then on 5th of July is our MMA award function and the MMA AGM, 68th AGM of MMA. It's our flagship event where we showcase our excellent performance all through the year, and the award function, the 4 outstanding achievers are getting the award, including the manufacturing, TVS Motors getting the award, in the services, SIFI, and education, Sairam College, and also in SME sector also, one of the companies were doing extremely well. And the chief guest is Mr. Narendran, who is a Managing Director of Tata Steel, has agreed to be the chief guest, and also Josh will be talking to us the keynote address. Please do come. We have lined up some fantastic program that evening, and I also request you to, after the award function, join us for a gala dinner, and I can assure you it will be a great evening worth remembering for long time to come to go. Please do register so that we make sure that your reception is done properly when you arrive at MMA. Then on 18th of July, we have a talk on securing future of digital payments that we are doing with RBI and also with the Digital Association of India. We got again lined up some outstanding speakers, including the RBI regional director and people who are experts in digital payment. And why we are doing this, we want to, our members are well educated. They don't. But I see in the newspaper, most educated are the one who lose the money. I don't know why actually. They, inadvertently click something, inadvertently give some data. So we want to tell you how you can be safe and how can be fail-proof in terms of this area. And also what are the new technology being introduced by RBI, other people, SEBI and various things. So it's happening on 18th of July. 22nd July, again, we are doing a success story. And Naveen is a founder of Notion Press. It's a very excellent model, Notion Press, where 3 partners join together and where they make people who want to publish it do that. Having MMA publication is coming, which is Notion Print is doing. I learned that Notion printers can do, why not MMA? So MMA is going to start very soon a publishing division where we'll be publishing the books for the MMA members. Not only publishing, we'll even launch it, and research papers, all that we'll be doing it actually, because we have got a wherewithal to do this. We have got some outstanding people, content writer, designer. Every month we produce a beautiful digital magazine. We thought we must do a thing. I'm quite sure my past president will appreciate. We are starting a publishing division in MMA, which will publish regular books. The first book is getting published by MMA on the 5th of July at our AGMs. It's going to be launched by the chief guest. And we are going to give continuous publication be done. We've got a wealth of knowledge available with us. More than 1,000 lectures delivered, transcript, videos are available. We are combining them in topic-wise and publishing them, which will be very useful for the management students, even management professionals, as a reference book. So it's come out very beautifully. You will be really happy to see the book getting published on 5th of July during the AGM. Then we also have 25th July Mental Series Part 2. Then we also have number of other events already lined up till September. I won't take the time. You can see the website. Quite a number of them is being done, and you will really happy to. Coming to today's event. This event when Latha said she's writing the book, and Latha Rajagopalan, we know each other very well. We have been regularly doing programs with women. When she said she want to discuss on the theme of the book, immediately I said, let's do that, because a book all written by women, for women, and not for women alone to read, it's for everybody to know. Because something to talk about media, and something talk about how one can really learn from different perspective from different people. I think it's very rarely happens where, at least in the MMA, except for women convention, I never had the privilege of hosting 7 women on the stage together. Yes, women convention, we do that quite a big number. So today is a very, very unique day for us also to host some of them. Ladies and gentlemen, today's event we are hosting this evening. Before that, let me warmly welcome all the viewers watching this program live. As usual, you have any questions, the numbers flash on your screen. Please send your questions. All the questions will be compiled and put it to the speakers today. They will respond. Only request you to please focus the questions relevant to the theme. I also acknowledge the presence of past president, my mentor, guide, well-wisher, Mr. Balraman here today. He's come and joined us this evening. Balraman is one of the past presidents who have done some phenomenal. He's a past president who had 2 years tenure, and he's always a guide and mentor to me, and always pushes me to bring the best out of MMA. Thank you for joining us this evening, sir. I also acknowledge the presence of Mahalingam. He's the president of MMA. I think without his support, I couldn't have done so many things what you are doing today. Thank you, Mali, for your continued support. Pleasure to have you this evening. Gentlemen, coming to this evening, media and you, and trends, challenges, opportunities, and today. We have some outstanding speakers, a galaxy of outstanding speakers who would seek to you. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together to welcome the distinguished panel for this evening. Latha, Rajagopalan, Kumar, Latha Menon, the speakers will be introduced in detail. Filmmaker, Deepika Kumaravel, theatre professional, Joy Adavan, All India Radio News, Latha Vaidyanathan, advertising consultant, Rangapriya Gautam is a media management, Susan Sridhar is a professor of AOP. May I request dignitaries please take your place on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm round of applause to our distinguished panel for this evening. Latha, please come. You will lead them. They are all waiting for you to come, I think. Please come.
No, they can all take the seats. Come.
Yeah, please come.
Can we change this? Okay. Briefa சொல்லுங்க. Whatever is yours.
I'll call you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll call you.
This is the first
I'll book her, sir.
First copy.
Give it to Balraman, no? You can. Let me have the privilege of introducing the leader for this evening, who also co-editor, who compiled this together, Latha, Rajagopalan, and Kumar. Latha is a communication consultant and independent researcher. She has taught at leading institutions in Chennai and across India. With 12 years in advertising, she has obtained a PhD in marketing and communication and a postdoctorate in communication from development. Latha has published internationally and is passionate about teaching, running non-profit organization Tanushka, and for since teaching education, science education. She also serves on the editorial advisory board of Cambridge Scholars and Guides and PhD Scholars. Very warm welcome to you, Latha. And the format of the program is Latha will set the context, introduce all the speakers. The speakers will share their perspective, and before that, she will also announce the launch of the book. And over to you, Latha.
Thank you, Captain. Good evening, everybody. Today's session is about modern media trends. And yet, ironically, nothing comes close to face-to-face interactions like this. You'll agree. No form of media can match this experience. So it's wonderful to be here. On behalf of all the speakers, I thank MMA, particularly Group Captain Vijay Kumar and his team, the President, past President, and other members of MMA for having invited us to this platform. We are very happy to share our experiences in the media industry, as well as some of us are from academia. Like other industries, media too has had its share of useful disruptions and innovations. The increasing technology orientation of governments all over the world and democratization of content have unleashed power and opportunities to both creators and users. But before all this began, for all the youngsters here, it was in the 70s that black and white television came to Chennai. An average of 1 or 2 sets per street, just like telephones in the 60s. This meant having a bunch of neighbors over every day to watch. Movies like Tilana Mohanambal attracted entire families to the house with the television. It was not uncommon to find people peeping through the windows, standing on the walls, sitting on the walls and hanging on the gates to watch live relays of cricket matches. The hosts were very hospitable and nice and usually kept the windows wide open to have people, more people viewing their television sets, as it was a pride of possession. This generation would find it hard to imagine that just a few decades ago, a large percentage of people in India did not own phones or televisions. Computers were a rare sight, and the internet did not sneak into our lives until much later. Communication involved time and physical effort. Connectivity was a word we used to use for transportation. If there was no connectivity, it meant that there was no bus going to that place or a train. We rarely used it in the context of technology. Yet somehow people reached out to each other and engaged in meaningful communication. Winding queues at phone booths was a familiar sight, and post offices, the anxiety of receiving telegrams, the anticipation of receiving a long overdue letter, the excitement of listening to a favorite song on the radio at night, or just the morning ritual of having a cup of coffee, chatting with the family and reading the paper. All this indicated a need to be informed as well as connected. Time has not changed this human need. However, it has certainly changed the way people keep themselves informed, entertained, and networked. In these times of technophilia, I would say communication is the redeeming feature of our gadget addictions. We live in a world of networks. It is interconnected and there is convergence. An important outcome is the window of opportunity all this has created. Indeed, a very large window. And how? According to a report in the Deccan Herald published last year in May, Indian media is a rupees 2 trillion plus industry and growing. There are hundreds of media entities in India employing over 500,000 people. I got these data points from statista.com, by the way. As you all know, media industry has been growing exponentially after digitization. This has resulted in a deluge of jobs that demand new skills. What naturally soon followed was a spectrum of mass media and communication courses in all the leading colleges and universities. One of the noteworthy trends is the steady increase in number of women making an impact in media education and industry. An article published by India Foundation in November 2018 described media as, to quote them, the sensitive litmus test that represents the dichotomy of tradition and transformation in society. Nothing explains this better than the success of women in media. Contemporary India is witnessing a rise in number of female voices in all forms of media and genres. It constructs a powerful female narrative. We are headed inexorably into a future of better gender representation in all walks of life, and this could be a defining period for us. Perhaps the best time to talk about media and learn about life in the industry and how to prepare for it. 7 of us from media industry and education are here to speak about our respective areas of expertise. This will segue into a discussion on a few important aspects of modern media. I will introduce the first speaker, Latha Menon. Latha Menon is a filmmaker with vast experience in different kinds of films, from advertisements and documentaries to longer films. Her clientele includes regional, national, and multinational companies. She is based in Chennai and also runs Mindscreen, a film training institute. So over to Latha.
Thank you, Captain Vijay Kumar, past presidents and former presidents of MMA, my colleagues on the dais, and all you friends, welcome to this event, and thanks for being here. I'm going to talk about media redesigned, why it matters. Of course, every brand has a target audience, and the concept of creating communications aimed specifically at a particular audience is older than advertising itself, as we all know. A brand has to continuously evolve, like technology has, based upon what is authentic, not only to previous generations, but to that generation at any given time. This means that to appeal to them, you not only have to showcase your brand's values, but you also have to embody them. Essentially, consumers have also become part of advertising rather than just passive onlookers. And consumers want connectivity, trust, and assurance. The communications of the brand must be flexible enough to adapt to all the tribes out there. What does a brand stand for? An extraordinary brand is something that is constantly evolving, like I already mentioned, that has its ear on the ground to the ever-changing trends of the environment and manages to communicate the same. I'd like to draw upon an example of a brand that I very closely work with, which is Arogya, the flagship of Hudson Agro Products, and I have been working on that brand for the past 2 decades. It is India's largest private dairy company, and Everyday Hap gets its milk directly from over 4 lakh farmers, which is spread across 5 states and across 13,000 villages. And the company has created a model such that there are no middlemen between themselves and the farmers. When my company, Iris Film, began working with them, they had a turnover of around 500 crores. I began working with them in 2002. We had done a campaign for comparative advertising. That was the time of comparative advertising trends. And we had referred to Arogya milk as white gold. And then the brand decided to jump, or rather to switch the entire idea. The brand evolved from selling itself as just a milk product to a wholesome product with its campaign of goodness with love. Along with the agency Iced Pepper, we developed a simple story that showed tender moments between people of all ages, gender, and types coming together. Then in 2011 is when we got a breakthrough idea, where we developed the campaign which went further of the idea of goodness with love, and we added this little tagline, from the villages. And this whole series we did as documentals because we started noticing the trend was changing, rather than just have models, even real people were beginning to be portrayed in commercials. And we came upon this concept of documercials, real life stories of dairy farmers. So Arogya no longer captured the moments of its consumers, instead they let the consumer peek behind the curtain and see the life of those who provided the milk that came to their homes. It was one of the first campaigns that showcased farmers as individuals who lived and loved their work. The positivity and joy of its farmers in the film brought about a positive reaction to the consumers who were seeing farmers in a new light, people who were just like them with families and dreams. It utilized a campaign for today's audience with emotion and aesthetic. The company today has a turnover of over 7,000 crores. And now I continue to work on different campaigns with them with Rubicon Creative. Arogya's journey is important to understand, but that we don't necessarily have to completely change the personality of the brand. Emotions and ideas are universal. Arogya was growing as Indian advertising also grew, as gender stereotypes were also slowly breaking down. We have built heroes in a way that we haven't built heroines. And these boundaries and perceptions have started changing as more women have started entering and narrating and directing stories. Not like 1996 when I had begun my company, Iris Film. I was just one of the few. Apart from the female model, maybe sometimes, I perhaps would have been the only woman in the unit. And as mass media has slowly become a career option, many women are entering the fray. And something that I see now really changing in my circle is how more women have a point of view and are speaking up about that point of view. This is what changes and impacts the work in a very authentic way. To conclude, Media Redesigned is to reimagine the consumer as a partner, not a target audience, to increase engagement for the consumer to align themselves with a brand that has a cause. And we as advertising professionals and insiders know that no successful advertisement can stray very far from where the audience already lives. Thank you.
We have with us Deepika Kumar. Deepika has worked extensively in theatre. She began with alternative theatre as a writer and performer, later into scripting and co-writing mainstream theatrical productions, including the famed Sivagami and Sabadam in English and all the Chettinad Vidyashram plays. Deepika wears several hats, being a writer in advertising as well and in marketing. So welcome Deepika to speak.
Good evening, everyone, here at MMA. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good evening to everyone. I would like to start off by talking about theatre. What do you talk about a field that evolved with man and it continues to evolve with man? Theatre was born from man's propensity to share his experience, his stories with fellow beings in a way that held their attention. From the way a mammoth was brought down, to the impending arrival of an enemy gang, to the posturing to woo a lover. They all involved role-playing, mimicking others, movement, and everything emotional, all to grab the wide-eyed attention of the listeners. Over millennia, that desire to hold the audience rapt has not whittled down. The stage may differ, but the performer lives with the audience. And that's why this completely live, human to human, raw dynamic between performer and audience, this is so powerful that theatre will always have its lovers. Of course, in the last few decades, the change has been incredible, but it has been incredible in every field. Movies and OTT are big factors and not necessarily negative ones, mainly because both offer the trained theatre actors and technicians more and very lucrative avenues to work. In fact, I would call OTT an almost natural new ground, a stylized auditorium, so to speak, with its ability to tell shorter, more intimate, and more intuitive stories. And this is eminently a playground for theatre artists. At this moment, I would like to say that theatre, because it is so in a man's DNA, I have found it to be very gender neutral. The challenges that beset women are the challenges that beset man. And therefore, when I say men and all that, I am speaking irrespective of gender. So now, let's come to the new changes that's taking over this field. We can see the way plays are conceived. The shorter formats, T20 plays, anybody? That's coming on, and that's gaining more audiences. And instead of earlier theatre, which used to stay static in a performance arena, today theatre has become mobile. In the sense, theatre has become flexible enough to be performed in your park, on your terrace, and in the playground. So to that extent, theatre has evolved. It has gone towards people, and that is a fabulous new movement. But when it comes to economies, I would say theatre that thrives has to consider economies of scale. Bring in a scale that cannot be matched by screens, and you create an industry that thrives. Like Magic Lantern did for Kalki's Ponniyin Selvan. Create a scale of performance that was one of the biggest in modern Indian theatre, where musicians, set and light artists, and the actors thrived in. Today, where would I wish theatre to go? I want theatre to go into schools and education and into corporate organizations. Because theatre training is actually all about being the best you can be as a person. Discovering your potential as a human being. Finding ways to engage with different and even completely opposite ideas. And finding the humanity in you to be there for your co-actors, colleagues, and teams. The world needs young people adept in these things. The rest like confidence, public speaking, body language, these are asides that you will get anyway. And that there are so many other places to, teach you that. But the vital soft skills needed is something that theatre can give. And today I call upon educational institutions to make theatre a well-conceptualized part of curriculum, and you will see leaders emerge in almost every other field. Today, groups like Magic Lantern and more can tailor-make leadership and team workshops for corporate organizations, institutions, and schools, including very young children. The difference theatre training can make is, dramatic. Dear friends, if I have created the desire in you to be part of the theatre world, I urge you to seek out groups to train with. Many are sensitive to your time and professional needs. Those wishing to professionally take up theatre, there are courses offered by the National School of Drama and other institutions. Do check them out. And anything else, please contact us. Thank you.
Joy Aandavan is a stalwart. She is from a highly respected institution, media institution in India, the All India Radio. She has been a news bureau head in Chennai for several years now, covering important political and parliament news sessions. She has also been part of the Prime Minister's entourage press teams, traveling to other countries. Over to Joy.
Thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity, and I thank All India Radio for giving me this opportunity. All India Radio was once ruling the roost, I would say, because I grew up listening to AIR news and getting ready to school. But then in the middle something happened and we are not in the scene just like what we were. But let me tell you, we are not totally out of the scene. We are still there. We are just changing according to the trends of the day. We are there in social media. We make our presence felt everywhere. And you can't miss our radio commentaries. People are still addicted to radio, either while they are traveling or at home. Still people listen to a lot of music programs which are coming out of radio, and still they listen to news. I have heard and I have seen many people who are on top positions. They have all listened to radio and radio programs, especially analysis and all of that. So let me tell you a little bit about what I'm doing. So as a news editor and as a correspondent, my day starts maybe at 1 o'clock at night till 12 o'clock. So I have to be widely awake 24/7. So it's just like any other media. It was quite new for me because I worked in Press Information Bureau, where we are just mouthpieces of the government. But in radio, it's not like that. It's slightly different, which means that we have to take into account all of the activities which are going on in our state and also out of our state, which is of great importance to the nation. So, as a communicator, always my communication is very important. You know how much we talk. But it was really a surprise for me. For 10 minutes, you can read 140 lines. Only 140 lines. However fast you go, you can't make it more than that. People will not understand. So, that is how we work. And we have to read a lot, update our knowledge on technical things, and also on everyday happenings. We have to track certain things. So we do all of that just like before, so to make it very interesting. So while traveling, a traveler can really keep things up to date. And we all of us like to listen to music, and any audio, listening to an audio doesn't make you a captive like television. Radio is quite interesting to work. So my day starts with reporting. I report for Delhi, and I also report for our Chennai desk. We have a station at just before the lighthouse at Chennai, Marina Beach. That is our office. So I am traveling from 23 kilometers away. My house is near Punamalli. But on the way, before I reach the office, I have a lot of things to report. So communication is very important these days. And especially in the modern day, with the presence of Twitter, with the presence of social media, still you are there. So every hour we are having a news bulletin, which is just for 2 minutes. For those 2 minutes, we have to be updated. Otherwise, we become redundant. So we have to be updated, and we have to keep our communication skills very simple so that people will understand our language, not using bombastic and, like uninteresting things. We have to be simple, we have to be brief, and we have to be very concise in our words. So my experience, experience in somebody's life is very priceless and precious. So I consider my experience in radio as a very precious one. So they don't differentiate whether it is a man or a woman, nothing like that. So when you come to reporting, when you come to the news desk, gender doesn't matter at all. Sometimes I used to get up by 2 o'clock or 2:30, then go to the station. So it's not very normal for women to go out, as people would say. But as a journalist, almost like you are a journalist and you are working for radio, not only me, there are so many engineers who are working, who are women. When cyclone comes, we work round the clock. We don't mind how many times we have to put a bulletin. In natural disaster situation, we have to keep updating the news, and we have to keep giving awareness messages to the people who are around to see what is going on. And radio is the only, All India Radio is the only organization which has much reach in the country, and people listen to radio. You won't believe, when I covered the elections as usual. So during one election, I was just describing the leader who won the election and how she was doing things. The next day, I get a call from somewhere in Northeast. Somebody from Northeast wanted to talk to the winner of the election. Of course, it's not possible, but still, people listen to radio, and all these things are examples of that, and it really encourages us. So after doing the bulletins, by side, I do the reporting also. I've been to Parliament coverage many times, and also to Assembly. I've traveled with Prime Minister for at least 10 countries. I've attended G7, G20, but all these things have given me vast experiences as to how to go about reporting in simple manner which a child can understand really what is happening. So the challenges are really high and you can't say excuses. When we went to twice, I will say two things. Once I went to this ISRO. It was, I think, midnight launch. So we got by 9 o'clock, 9:30, we started from Chennai and almost we were reaching Sriharikota, but the time some animal came in between and the vehicle turned 360 degrees. It was just at that moment I realized, oh, my life is so precious. But still, I kept on going for all those coverages. So when challenges come, it is not like you stand up and you just stand there. You have to walk ahead and unmindful of whether it is morning or night, cyclone or not. Anywhere, anytime, you have to be attentive. You have to do your work promptly. So one more thing I would like to say, I went to Indonesia. So from Indonesia, the journey was really very difficult because every time we have to go for Prime Minister's coverage, we have to go from Delhi to that place. So I went to Delhi and from there, there was no direct flight to Indonesia. So I had to go to Singapore and then go there. I don't know where my luggage got missed. So I was standing there at the Indonesian airport for at least 1 hour. I didn't get the box. But still I have to report for the 9 o'clock bulletin at night. Can we say any excuses? So I said, okay, let me go to the hotel and file the story first. So for us, every bulletin is precious and every visit is precious for us. And we have to keep on working no matter what. The other thing that I would like to say is that youngsters nowadays, they find, I think, news is not very interesting. But I tell you, you have to listen to news just to know how we are reporting. Because radio is the best place where you can learn. Listening to radio, you can learn many things. Make it a habit to listen to radio. Any type of radio you can listen. Not only for entertainment, but also for infotainment, which AIR is very popular for. And then working with radio in the era of social media, it is quite challenging because we are all oldies. Considering we have a big generation gap. But the thing is that we have to be very prompt, very correct, and we don't get carried away by any news which is around us. There will be so much of temptation to just note down what is going on in the television and then give the story. But we never do that. In Tamil Nadu, we have a correspondent for every district. They are all working part-time with us. But whatever things happen, they just report it to us and then we are going ahead. But every time, whatever incident is happening, we always give the correct news. So Reuters, I think last week they did a survey and they said more than 65% are listening to AIR. So that is a consoling factor, but still we are trying hard to reach the first place. I hope it will come true in a few more years. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. We have with us today Latha Vaidyanath, all the way from Hyderabad. Formerly in Chennai, she has also worked in Bangalore. She is an award-winning copywriter who has worked on landmark campaigns for leading brands across India. She continues to work as lead creative person for a Hyderabad-based company. I hand over to Latha.
Thank you, Latha, for those kind words. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Latha Vaidyanath, Senior Creative Director, and my claim to fame is that I'm still sane and smiling after close to 3 decades in advertising. In fact, if I'm standing here in front of you after surviving in that field for so long, it does say a lot about the industry, doesn't it? Advertising gives a lot, and it also takes a lot. Many of you here are at the threshold of your careers or are from other areas. So let's stick to the good part, to the giving part. Yeah? Advertising gives you freedom. Freedom to express yourself, think creatively, think differently, and think on your feet. And if you're someone like me, freedom from hierarchy and convention too. Advertising lets your imagination fly. If you have a bizarre idea, we love it. The outlandish is always embraced because people remember it. And when they remember it, they hopefully remember to buy the product that you advertised for. Anyone out here with wacky ideas? Come over. There's a whole industry waiting for all of you. Advertising gives you fun on the job, whether it's cracking a campaign idea, working with a team, or taking time to think. This is one industry where work doesn't feel like work. I'm sure that a lot of my advertising colleagues will agree with that work doesn't feel like work in advertising. Yeah. Advertising is very collaborative. You're always connecting with people, you're connecting with consumers, you're working together, you're sharing a bond under high pressure circumstances with co-workers. And the good part is that you continue to maintain this bond even after you have left the organization, forming very strong friendships along the way. I have some very rich friendships going back to the first days when I used to work as a cub copywriter. Advertising opens up opportunities in allied fields. A lot of copywriters go on to become film script writers, filmmakers. Some join the television industry. Others start their own ad agencies. Planners get into market research, and so on. That said, advertising is also a very challenging industry, as you need to constantly come up with new ideas, new ways of saying things, and create new stories for a very demanding audience, especially nowadays. You have to differentiate yourself all the time, which means you have to work that much harder. And in today's times, the advertising content you generate isn't competing with the next ad. It's competing for attention with Instagram Reels, podcasts, Facebook posts, and a whole lot more. Coming to my own journey, I was very keen to join advertising right from high school. The print ads fascinated me, and I remember memorizing slogans and jingles while my classmates were memorizing chemistry equations and maths formula. My fascination for ads saw me joining a small ad agency in Bangalore where I started my career. What began then has given me deep fulfillment, strong connections, work satisfaction, and has brought me here today to be speaking in front of you, and I'm very grateful for all of this. I have worked in ad agencies in Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad, and have collaborated with agencies in Delhi and Mumbai. Each stint has been very wholesome, very enriching, and has been packed with a lot of fun. In Chennai, I have worked with leading brands, and one of the highlights was creating the tagline for Sun TV years ago in McCann Erickson. I think many of you here might be watching or would have watched Sun TV at some point. Can anybody remember the slogan? No prizes for guessing, but can anybody remember the slogan? No, not that. This is Veetuku Veedu Sun Tan Tanatan. You all remember that? Okay, thank you. I wrote that. Okay. Okay, so, and that was translated into various languages. It was used across India. So that is one of the highlights of my career at Chennai, using that, creating that slogan. In my chapter in this book, Media and You, I have given you an overview of the industry, its evolution in India, how it functions, who does what role, what to expect, and how it creates change. But honestly, the intensity of the industry can only be experienced, not just read. So if anyone here is considering joining advertising, I will say, please do take that plunge. It's going to be a fun ride and a wild ride too. One day, you will find yourself in this very same spot where I stand, talking to all of you, to an audience that is as interesting as all of you. Thank you so much.
We have Priya Gautam. Priya is a management professional and runs her own digital marketing company. She also represents Virginia Tech in India and is closely involved in curating courses run by Virginia Tech, like certificate programs in data, science and analytics. Priya wears several hats. I can't often remember all the hats that she wears, so I'll allow her to speak now. Thank you.
Thank you, Latha, and very good evening to ladies and gentlemen here. I was just seeing my co-speakers and co-authors here having a long list of things to speak about what they've done. I actually don't have anything, but I only remember one story which I thought I should talk today is when I wanted to do something in media, I went and asked my dad, Papa, can I do? He said, media, wa? Why? No, please do what I've said. And that's how our education system used to be when we were young, that we were told to do certain things which are of importance, like it could be engineering, doctors, police, civil services. These were the only careers in those days. And of course, there were very few who probably this august audiences actually grabbed the opportunity to be that. So taking back to my story, I actually wanted to be a media professional, but I just couldn't because of constraints. So what did I do? I went and did one small little course which is offered as a part of our college internship. And I went and did this something called as Media and Mass Communication course. Failed miserably. I did not understand anything because I had no background. Having said that, I somehow managed in the 4th term, I managed to scrape through and I got a A+ degree. So that was a good start point for me to start my career. After that, of course, I went into doing a lot of things, but this kept bothering me that I need to do something about media and education. How can we democratize education for people? Where can we go and study? So this has always kept, plying on my mind. What should I do for this? In the part of my career that I did, I always stuck to education, whether it is technology-based training or computer-based training. This is always my career pathway. However, an opportunity came when I was heading an institution where I could create institutions. And that was the opportunity that I grabbed. And I said, I'm going to do this just not only for me, but for the students at large. So we started an architecture college, a music school, a school of media, all this little away from the city limits. It's about 75 kilometers away from Chennai. So under that aegis, I did a lot of colleges, but what got to me still was that when I meet parents, they always want to give kids engineering, architecture, the same option. They never thought media as an option. I think it's so important that today we need to educate parents more than the students that there is opportunity, there is life beyond what they think is the 4 things. I think that's the important part that I wanted to let parents also know, that don't think that the idea is just doing engineering. Today, an engineering student is still writing media content. I'm sure there's so many of them who've broken away from the score of what they have to do what they are doing today. So that is the kind of strength that I think advertising and media has got. And like all of them said, and I'm not going to repeat that, every role that they play is something different. They are not the same mold. Somebody is writing script, somebody is making a movie, somebody is writing an ad copy, somebody is doing the filming of it. Just imagine, in this audience, we have 7 sitting on the stage, and imagine how much more jobs are there. I would think there are 4 million plus job opportunities are there today in the market that we need to grab. And I think one of the quotes that I remembered is this: Richard Branson always said that publicity is about absolutely critical. But a good media story is definitely more effective than a front page ad. Just imagine, if your story is good, it's much, much larger than an ad. Having said that, the careers in media are I would say plenty. And today, if I list out, there are about at least 40 in my hand, and I'm not going to rattle that out. You figure it out, because there's a lot of data available today. And those days, we only had universities that were giving media education. But today, private institutions, companies, media companies are also hosting these courses for them to upskill, reskill, retool, and take this journey as and when you go along in your life. It doesn't matter that you've done graduation today, but you can always change your career. I think Lalita mentioned about that. So she wanted to do, did you say that? That you started off doing something, yeah. So having that as the platform, I think one should look at what you can build today with your passion. And the passion and purpose are together. If you have the purpose, then I think it all comes naturally. But to be in this media professional, I think you have to have the passion, you have to have the purpose, you have to have the ability to travel, you have the ability to be truthful to yourself. When you're reporting stories, you can't tell cooked up stories. So all these things are inherent qualities that one should look at when they are building their career in these pathways. Also, I wanted to talk about digital today, because I run a company, a digital company. We found that most of them are engineers who are a part of our company. Okay, I have one sitting here who's an aeronautical engineer, and she says, I want to do digital. So, and we have another who's sitting, she's done something else in engineering and come back to digital. So look at the way people are transfusing their careers to make their life more encouraging in terms of what they want to do. If you look at the careers in digital marketing, there's a lot today, and I basically propose that today with marketing you can also have data. With data you have analytics. You're able to make a lot of insights into what you want to predict in terms of how your customer acquisition is happening. There are a lot of things that you can use data and make some informed decisions. So that's another career option that one could think about. It's just not that things are taking away from us, but it is also how you create your own career is in your own hands. So with that, I would request all of you to sort of look up on very, very niche careers. Today, even drone pilot licensing is one career, but in that also there is photography. We are providing data. Somewhere or the other, a lot of things are getting connected to what we need as data and why we need to use that data at the right place at the right time. I think if you have any questions, we'll take it later, but these are some of the career options, and do look at what you can do. Don't get pressurized into what your parents say all the time. Keep an eye open for what opportunity you have as an individual rather than, getting forced into what you don't like. So I always say when I counsel somebody, don't grab the seat of somebody who really owns it. There could be somebody who's really passionate, who wants to do something, but if you go there and be a potential dropout, it's a loss of that particular student's seat. So just make a wise decision. Thank you.
Behind all developments in media lies the foundation of good media education. Dr. Susan Sridhar has spent several decades shaping the media knowledge and skills of students at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. She holds a PhD from the Madras University, and she has retired recently but continues her work being based in Nilgiris. She contributes to education through curriculum development. Welcome, Susan. He's here all the way from the Nilgiris today.
A very good evening. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, I want to thank MMA especially for this opportunity, and welcome to each one of you. Yes, I've been in this field for 35 years, so I'm not going to repeat. I think Priya also spoke quite a lot about education, but let me talk about the nitty-gritties of media education. First of all, how many media students or people concerned with media institutions are here? Could you just raise your hands? Okay, thank you. So I hope what I'm going to talk is not going to be too redundant for you. Okay, two main goals of media education, okay? One is, I think, I might be wrong, I think one thing is to be media literate. Okay, are you going to understand now what is media all about? What is the content all about? How is this content going to influence me? And what about the vulnerable people? How is this media content going to influence those people? Okay, and the political economy behind it, the ownership of media, does that affect the content? So how media literate am I? What about print? What about AI and chat GPT today? What about your television? What about your radio? How is this content going to impact me? How much do I understand this? Secondly, a media student wants to enter media to be employable. How well will they fit into the industry? And today, why at all this need? Because today with the burgeoning media scene, you need people to work for media. So that is one of the reasons why this, along with the growth of the media education is also growing. Two things I want to emphasize. One is forms of media. It started with the print, then you went to radio, and then television, and then you had your films, silent films, and then films came about, the computer came in, online media, software development. I don't have to tell you today what's happening. We all know that. Now, and the other thing is the forms of media, as I just mentioned. The other thing is the content. You know, you have so much of information, so much of entertainment, so much of infotainment. Somebody has to create all this content. Okay, so a lot of the students also go as content creators, but the challenge comes, which media are they suitable for? How do I appropriate my content to the print or to the broadcast or for an online news report or for a movie? So a student has to be trained to do exactly that. Now, when you talk about media studies in India, I don't know how many of you know, the first journalism school in India was, can anyone guess? First journalism school in India? Punjab University. Punjab University. The second was our own Madras University. 1941 in Punjab, 46 in Madras University. And then we had 1965, the Indian Institute of Mass Communication in Delhi. 1989, we had our own Loyola College starting off with Viscom. Of course, today you have the amount of courses, I don't have to tell you, you have visual communication, electronic media, journalism, communication, media management, animation, a whole load of courses. There are umpteen I haven't mentioned. So this is the way the media education is growing. It has to grow because the media is growing in leaps and bounds. Now, there are a total of 1,399 mass communication colleges in India, which include 974 private and 381 government colleges. What about the syllabi? You know, we always, when we sit with the Board of Studies in various colleges, we have a real struggle with the syllabi because our syllabi has to be updated along with the industry. You understand, we cannot have students going in to the industry not knowing anything. That still happens, by the way. When they go to the industry, what happens is the industry people tell, come on, you'll have to update yourselves. And we are doing that. But believe me, in an institution, there are so many formalities to go through to get the syllabus approved. So do bear up with us. All educational institutions are doing their best. Okay. So that is the syllabi. Syllabi has to be updated. Another thing which is crazy sometimes in colleges, the nature of media courses is still not understood in the college. You know, most of our students have to be out of the classroom. A lot of time the students have to be outside. Now, what they say is the rest of the college discipline is going off because of media students. Because half the time they have to run around with cameras, they have to find locations, they have to go get a story. They cannot be in class like the other courses. Now, this definitely disrupts the setup, but today I'm so happy to see, you know, I've been 35 years in the media, in media education. And after my 25th year, I began to see a great increase when people began to understand the course, the needs of the students, you know, how different this course is. Now, all this is necessary for a department to function. So, understanding by the management of the college, the principal of the college, the staff of the college, the rest of the college is very, very important if the course has to be successful. Now, another thing is we have to match the industry needs. We have to match the industry needs because ultimately our students need to be employable. They need to fit into the wide gap that is there. Now you can say, a student can just do some skills, skill courses, photography course, a production course. But I think education is very important simply because they need to know the concepts. When a student starts writing content for anything, they have to know that they are responsible. They are responsible for millions who are viewing the material. How ethical are you? Funny question to talk in today's generation, but it's very important. How ethical is the content that you're sending? What all rules are you breaking? What about your copyright rule, this rule, that rule? Are you keeping up with all the rules? Are you, it's so important that that sort of education is also given, not just how to handle your equipment. That is why today there are soft skills. Soft skills, I think, are so important in a college, value-based education. These sort of things also add on to a media education. So an internship, when you go into an internship, it exposes the student to the general environment of the media industry, but also helps them to get a very good hands-on experience. Now a student, when it comes to internship, another thing I want to tell you is, nearly all media colleges, institutions, we go for 2 internships today. First one is a 1-month internship, normally. 1-month internship where a student really has to go and expose themselves to see where they actually fit in. As Priya was just talking, we have so many areas, right? We have print, broadcast, this, that and the other. So where are they going to fit in? Are they going to fit into advertising? Are they going to go into corporate communication? Are they going to write for print? Are they going to edit? What are they going to do? Are they going to make a film? Are they going to do the marketing for the film? What are they going to do? So they need to expose themselves. So normally the first internship is where they expose themselves. And a second internship is normally 3 months, where they actually specialize in what they want to do. And I think I'm not at all wrong in saying most of the students get absorbed once they go for their second internship. So when it comes to internship, what are the basic skills necessary for a student? Interest. If a media student is there without interest, they will not succeed at all. Interest, curiosity, a lot of energy, good communication and basic interpersonal skills, very important. I just want to mention 2 things. Interpersonal skills we teach in soft skills itself, how do you talk, how do you communicate, all these things are fine. When they go to the media institution, they're going to learn much more. How do I deal with a client? How am I going to negotiate with a client? How am I going to sell? How am I going to pitch an idea? These are things that they will add on to their interpersonal skills. These are things that are very, very important. And another thing is, students were telling me that when they go for internship, if they don't represent an organization, they are hardly, you go to interview, you cannot interview anyone big. Because they will say, who are you? But if you go with the backing of an organization, then their voice is heard. Another thing, when they want to go for internship, they always think, now where do I go for internship? Where do I go? Do I go to a big established traditional media house, or do I go to a startup? Now, if you go to a traditional media house, your voice is hardly heard. Okay, because they have, everything is done there, set up, but you come to know a lot about an organizational setup. Okay, and you have a label of, okay, she has interned over here, or he has interned over here. You go to a startup, you become part of the organization. Okay, so these are some of the things I wanted to tell you. And they begin to, when you go to an internship, they begin to actually understand their innate flair, what they are made for. And when they go there and do the work, how many hour practicals you give them in college? Nothing like going live at the media house. That is what students need to experience. Then they are really cut out for the media. They gain confidence. They understand the organizational dynamics. They ultimately learn how to ace the job. I'll end up with just reading what a student told me. I was given a chance to help the photography section for a few days, which made me realize how to ace an ad photography session, even with very less props. Another student told me I sat through the entire pipeline and understood how an animation film was created from scratch. I could never have had such an experience without being an intern. So what I want to end with saying this. that, this industry education collaboration is extremely important. I don't think it's just with the media, but it's very, very necessary in media. Industry, education, collaboration. Thank you so much.
I'm going to talk about media technology and new media. As I speak right now, I have a friend recording this talk on the small device that she has. I have family members watching from other countries. I have a friend watching the live feed from the US. And my daughter is online at her workplace in Bangalore. The last one makes me a little nervous because I need to get her approval for my attire. That's the power of media. This is media technology at the most basic level. In fact, today I beat her to it. I sent her a picture before coming and got her approval, and now I'm here. So when we speak of media technology, we refer not only to the hardware and the software that go into creating the content, but also the channels of dissemination, the way in which consumers they consume the media, and the way in which people store the information. All that goes into the broad area of media technology. It is like a well-woven fabric with all the threads that connect, including technologies used in communication, entertainment, interaction, and transaction. A slew of innovations and inventions have led to this rapid growth, especially of social media, e-commerce. We are one of the highest, by the way, in e-commerce, online gaming, and online learning, which is my favorite topic, is online learning. We'll come to that. The most groundbreaking innovation today in media technology are virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. With time, interfaces have become simpler and the experiences better. Using synchronicity and multiplicity, along with portability of device, technology has redefined creativity. AI-powered content is dramatically changing the face of digital marketing and advertising. A major innovation, which is all set to revolutionize newsrooms in the near future, is simultaneous personalized updates across digital sites. And all this can be measured. Quantification is one of the most important features in media technology. When I say new media, I refer to a host of web-related communication tools like blogs, social networking, virtual worlds, websites, and streaming services. Multimedia is now deploying spatial computing, which seamlessly merges physical and digital spaces to offer realistic experiences and transforming user interaction from virtual try-on experience to immersive educational simulations. IoT, which is Internet of Things, includes, it is moved from voice-driven functionality to immersive experience with visual components. Video creation and streaming technologies have leaped forward. Considering that digital tech in media is relatively new compared to other media, it grew in the 90s, the speed of innovation is overwhelming. In education, digitization has empowered learners, and the significance of virtual institutes is that there is no age, geographic, or financial barriers. Free online content has helped people realize long-cherished dreams of learning about any topic. I'll give you a small example. Some years ago, IIT Madras they still call IIT Madras, I think, had advertised for, not really advertised, but within their network, came up with a course for technology updation exclusively for women who had a short break in career and were hoping to go back in track. It was called Back in Track. And it was meant for engineers. A lot of the students were former students of IIT, women especially, who had taken, it was for women, who had taken a break for family and children. This was to update them and encourage them to go back into the field. There were two conditions. One, you had to be an engineer and below 45 years of age. I didn't qualify with either. So I had to go there, speak to them, question the relevance of age in education, and also be willing to put up with willing to fight the challenges of a lack of knowledge in certain areas of engineering. So I did that course. It was a 1.5-year course, complete technology updation in media technology, Internet of Things, a little bit about data science. I had to learn Python without any knowledge of computers. It is possible. I also needed tuition to pass, by the way. So it was a joke in my family. But jokes apart, I think that is the value of continuing education. At some point, I was ready to give up, and the director of the course said, "Why are you doing this at this point?" So my only answer was, if I have to be in media, either work or teach, for me it was a matter of integrity to be updated. Because otherwise I didn't deem myself fit to stand before students, and I had to be updated. Also because the students are ahead of you these days. Before you can come into the class, they're ready with a set of questions based on internet information, so you have to be one up over there. So the importance of technology in continuing education is marked, because you can study at any age or learn a skill at any age from wherever you are, sometimes for free too. New media includes a lot of social media educational sites. There are a lot of information exchange, industry chat rooms, which offer a lot of support system for young people in the industry who would like to have new information. IoT is moving from voice-driven functionality, as we said, into visual components. So to create this, we have a host of talents that are required, and therefore new skills, and education has played an important role. Digitization has led to courses with flexible timing, flexible learning modules, and flexible assessment patterns. Okay. Well, let's look at some interesting examples of how technology has come into our lives, which without our own awareness. Young people would know Beat Saber was a game, PlayStation game, that used VR in a surreal neon environment, giving an adrenaline rush every time the beats of the music changed. This was a hit, super hit PlayStation game. Pokemon Go, as you all know, used GPS technology, where it combined a virtual presence with a seemingly physical presence in a game of a hunt of sorts. But my favorite is Kai, spelled Q-A-I. It's a tiny best friend, BFF, of Serena Williams' daughter Alexis. It comes in a digitized version with complete personality and animated expressions. This reminds me of a book, award-winning book called Clara and the Sun, written by a Nobel laureate, and it talks about, Booker Prize winner also, and it talks about a futuristic time when technology could replace human interactions. It talks about a robot that was purchased to replace the best friend or I don't remember, the sister of the child, and the child develops a relationship with the robot, and the whole thing is about how the story evolves around the relationship between the child and the artificial intelligence. So we have also, recently in this city, we had Van Gogh 360. Van Gogh 360 is a multimedia immersive projection on a 360-degree screen. AR has taken advertising to a new level. We have Nike's shoebox campaign, award-winning, which featured a large shoebox on a 3D billboard in Tokyo with a cat jumping out of it. The box would open and the cat would jump out in 3D technology, which looked absolutely realistic. This was one of the biggest attractions in Tokyo that year. Now, the downside of media technology is the rise in crimes using media technology. This necessitates even further better knowledge of technology and ways to protect oneself online. But even with all this happening, one thing continues and will hopefully remain the same. At the core of all the advancements lies our basic human need to stay informed and stay connected. The warmth of a physical handshake is still the most connecting human experience for me, and hopefully for all of you. Thank you. So, we have question answer session, but before that, just 5 minutes, we'll have a very short discussion because we have two important topics that are common to all the media. So we have already seen how media works today and the ethical constraint. We'll just take one topic. Women are not just joining the industry, but leading some of the big media houses today. What has it taken for women to get here? How does this impact the industry? So I request the panel members to air their views. You can have the mic. Everyone has a mic. So.
Yeah, speaking about advertising, I will say that there have always been women in this field, but of late, probably there are a lot more women coming in for various reasons, primarily because their journeys have been aided a lot by technology. They work from remote, and therefore they're able to, find a very nice work-life balance. It works, it's planned out well. And also this thing of remote working is very much more comfortable now. That is one. And then second is that I think things like long working hours, those things are probably in the past because again, you can work from remote. COVID has actually facilitated that, and it's helped open up a lot of avenues for people, and especially women who have benefited from a lot of these trends.
I wouldn't see film. It's taken a while for women to enter the fray. It isn't an easy profession to make your mark. It takes time. You've got to learn your skill sets. But definitely the glass ceiling has been broken. Women are there in the field. They're able to create strong narratives. And this year at the CAN, if anybody watched, a woman broke the glass ceiling. She won the Grand Prix. She won it after almost, I think 1946 was the last year we won an award from CAN. So it's come now in 2024, and it's taken us such a long time. So I think now women are going to be telling more stories and interesting stories at that.
What I would like to say is that I have interviewed many leading journalists and also owners. I have a friend who's owning a big newspaper. But now the problem is that ownership is becoming a problem for women. But I tell you that there are a lot more fields, new fields where women are leading, which is just overtaking the prime media. And that's a very encouraging sign. And like social media, online media, digital media, and other kinds of medias which are growing, they are all picked up by women who were once sitting at home. And that's a good news.
Just to add on to what Joy said, I was about to say the same things about democratization of content. Today, you can be anywhere, you can have any medium, but still be able to produce good content which can be used in any place. So we have something called a sport, create one, sport everywhere. I think once you create in one medium, it can be used anywhere. So that's something that one should think about.
So we'll go on to the question answer session because there are quite a few questions. I don't know how to drag us further. First question is addressed to Latha. What advice would you give to aspiring copywriters looking to make their mark in the advertising industry?
That's a nice question. I would say keep yourself, very abreast of trends. Keep yourself in the know about technology, and also keep a sharp eye out on what other advertisers, other products are saying. There are so many stories out there right now, and you need to be in the know about a lot of them, because it is getting increasingly difficult to come up with that one original idea. It's not easy at all. You have to be willing to work very, very hard, and don't rely on things like, it's very tempting to rely on aids like ChatGPT, but you need to use your wisdom out here, because device, and that's it. After that, it all depends on you, your passion, and your willingness to want to succeed in this profession, especially copywriting. And it's not easy, let me tell you that.
That question was from Priya, Bangalore.
Okay.
Question to Joy, what advice do you have for young journalists who aspire to work in broadcast? This question is from Bharat Pandit, Puducherry.
Okay. So, to work in radio, it's very difficult at the beginning because the timing constraint is there. So, for 10 minutes, 140 to 145 lines of news reading. So then you can imagine how crispy your story has to be. For that, I would encourage all the young journalists to read a lot. You have to read, you have to equip yourself, look out for better words, replace better words, read your story again and again when you are learning in the beginning. Later it will become very easier for you. So that is a unique skill which you have to develop yourself.
Okay, thank you. There's a question for Dr. Susan C. Sridhar from Satya, Coimbatore. How has media education evolved now? What changes do you foresee? Can you give it in 1 or 2 lines?
Check. Yeah, as I was saying, along with the technological developments happening in the industry, media education has to change. Media education has to develop, it has to revamp itself, syllabi has to be revamped, the studios have to be revamped. We are going to see a lot of software development in the labs. We're going to see the use of artificial intelligence and how to combat ChatGPT, lest our students become brain dead. So their thinking and creativity, I think, education has to keep up pace with the industry growth.
Yeah, thank you. There's a question from Syed, Chennai. It is about technology and how it is impacted, how it is influences careers. But I think we have discussed that. The question may have been written before the last part. So I'll skip that question. A few are repetitive. I will not read that out. Again, there's a question on emerging trends, which I covered, I think, at the end. So if there's any question, I can stay back and also answer. There's a question to Latha Menon. Can you discuss the challenges of producing documentaries on social issues and how you ensure their impact? This is from Daniel, Puducherry. Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. Documentaries are still a growing medium of narrating stories, but it is definitely growing thanks to the OTT platforms, Netflix and Amazon Prime, encouraging documentaries and making it for the latest one of the Jolly story which came in Netflix about the cyanide murder. I don't know if people have watched it, but there are opportunities now. But to make real impactful documentaries like The Elephant Whisperers, which won the Oscar, it definitely needs a lot of, I would say a collaboration of different sources, like a good producer, a good person behind the scene who can market the documentary. You need to get many, funders to support the project. It takes years sometimes. It takes a year or two, but one has to have the patience and not give up on it. Documentary is definitely quite a long process, yeah.
There's a question for Deepika Kumruvel. How has your experience in advertising influenced your approach to theatre production and storytelling? It's an interesting question from Joseph, Chennai.
Hello. See, they are both highly creative fields and both require reaching out to the consumer. In that way, they are similar, but the dissimilarity is also extremely big. Advertising is a more It's a more marketing of a product. While theatre, I think, is an extension of literature, of ideas, and sometimes of protest. So they can be actually on the opposite spectrum of each other. One is a consumerist endeavor, while the other could just be the opposite. Advertising is a consumerist thing, and theatre could be a protest. It could be. So I would, other than the fact that they both elicit a lot of creativity from you and a lot of passion and a lot of genuineness, as fields they are very different.
As a medium, they are different, I guess. Yeah, you can add to it.
I would say advertising is the art of seduction and theatre is the art of protest, possibly.
Nice, nice. Okay. The question for Rangapriya, but we may not have time to do this. Can you keep it brief? Asfar from a tour asks you to discuss a case where your marketing strategies led to an improvement in brand equity. Can you very briefly say that?
Actually, it's a long story, but like you said,
2 lines.
yeah. When we create a product or when we create anything like the advertisement or whatever, now a lot of people today in the startup ecosystem look at brand equity, and that's where they're valuing it. So that being said, it's a very, very important aspect of brand when you're creating. But as Latha said, there's a very short time. It takes a long explanation for this, but I'll probably do a one-on-one on this, yeah.
There's a question on AI. I'll take that question. It's from Jairaj XM Academy. He wants to know the views on AI as a game changer and the concerns involved in the media. AI, I spoke about that extensively. AI is a game changer because of the way in which content is created. Somebody else had also mentioned about the ethical aspect of using AI and chatbots. Regarding what would happen in the future, it is impossible to predict because the pace at which things are changing, like the transistors and the Moore's law, the speed and the change is so stupendous that it's very difficult to predict what aspects of human life is going to be taken over by AI. But at some point, I can only say that if machines can start thinking like us, then we've all lost jobs. Everybody, we'll have to reinvent ourselves because no doctor, every profession will suffer at that point in time, not just media. There is one question on 2 interesting questions which I think all of us should at least give a line to answer. How important is collaboration and networking in your field, and how do you develop that? So I think all of us need that. Joy had already spoken about it briefly.
Yeah, I think it's so important today that without network, nothing works. Word of mouth is the biggest marketing, way of doing things. And we have stalwarts like Mr. Balraman who can really... So everything that today, even there's a little poster that I remember that if I say something is good, nobody's going to believe. If somebody says it's good, then they believe. So that's what McDonald's also uses it. Having said that, it's always good to have good networking, make your product visible, visually, communicatively, and also let people know what you do ethically, and that's why they trust the brand. And I think advertising brings the trust in the brand.
I would say that theatre depends entirely on collaboration, networking. It is the expertise that we share with other theatre groups, with people around the world, and the incredible experiences of others play off, with us. This theatre and performing arts as a whole it depends entirely on networking and collaboration.
And I will add that, talking about technology, it has empowered women to work from home, or men to work from home, work from a distance, study from home, study from a distance. And all this is possible only if there is a network. The moment you isolate, you're out of the game. You have to be in touch, you have to know what the other person is doing. So it's very important to work together with people, especially when you're away from people. And that is the importance of networking in technology fields.
Yeah, one more very basic thing is I think good communication is absolutely essential for networking. Whether you're doing it at the highest technological level or you're doing it at the basic interpersonal level, I think communication is the answer for good networking.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think advertising especially is people's business.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have very good interpersonal relations. You have to have a very good connect with your consumer also at the other end. So I would think that, and internally within the workplace, you have to collaborate so much. So collaboration, networking is the mantra for success.
There is one question about, oh sorry, please continue.
I would like to talk a little bit about ethical, just 2-3 lines. Ethical means it falls upon the individual who is collecting the news and who is giving the news and who is showing the news. When something bad happens, why does our media focuses on the emotions, human emotions? You know, like we are playing with the emotions of children, of women who are already in pain. So that demands a self-restraint. Nobody can put a restraint on you, but you have to do it yourself. And I think that is missing here now.
It's a very important point. Thank you. So can I go to the next? This is the final question, which is on the streaming platform is, what ethical considerations are important? General question on ethics, and we can all, yeah.
Could you just repeat the question?
Ethical, what are the ethical considerations are important in your work? Mostly when it comes to technology, I think ethical would be mostly to do with honesty, copyright, yeah, in good faith, everything is in good faith. And also I think in relationships, or in the interactions with people also, there is some ethical constraint in terms of engagement.
I'd like to talk about copyright. In performing arts, especially intellectual rights, in performing arts, it's a huge problem.
Yes.
You don't know where your play is being performed and in what, in the milieu that you expect, you wrote it as. These are some things that I think in the day of technology innovation, strangely enough, nothing has been done in this area.
So I think we have to equip ourselves as media professionals. One of the things, just like self-restraint is important, education and continuing education is important. A lot of times people who are already successful, either in academics or industry, don't find the need to update. They feel they can, manage till their retirement. It's very important to stay updated with media laws and cyber laws especially. Young people, please read up cyber laws. Even if you're not a media student, just a user of media has to know what kind of protection is available, legal protection is available, what kind of crimes can take place, how phishing is done. So it's very important to understand cyber laws. We in fact had, we had a person from Supreme Court, the speech has been included in the book, who talked exclusively about cyber laws and women in cyber laws. Yeah. So with this, we can anybody has a question, quickly we can. I will, Lalita will have to take a flight, so we will say bye to her at this point. Thank you very much for being here. I don't want to delay you.
You want to say something? Go ahead.
Thanks a lot for being a wonderful audience. I really enjoyed being here, and I hope you all did too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have over 740 viewers watching online. I have another bunch of questions. I screen and send what was relevant, only the repetition, so that you have enough time. And thank you so much. Thanks, Latha, for really putting it together and bringing some outstanding women come and speak. Thank you, Latha, Madam Deepika, Joy, and Lalita, Rangapriya, and Susan. Lovely having you this evening. May I request Past President, please do us honor of joining us on the stage to present the memento. Our Mr. Mali, you can also join us.
Before that, can I just give a
please come.
Can I request the current president or the past president to hand over a copy to the current president? You can give it to.
First copy is given to the president. Mr. President.
For the MMA library. Hopefully,
Next time we will do this.
yeah, hopefully MMA will use it.
Latha, you just join. How can you all join? Come up there. Put your hand. Yes. Come join.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sir, come on. Author sit here. Sir, come on. Thank you. Come. One big, big, all. Come here, Ashok. Come. Professor, you read more. Kumar, you can step forward for a group picture. Join, yeah. Step forward for a group picture. No, I think it's better for us to join. Okay, can say that. Elected committee, past person. Okay, please confirm. Because the lower. Control. Okay, yeah. Friends are. All these. Come to the action. Come. Be on the side.
Sir, please come. Please come.
That's well taken. Okay, what? Ready, ready, sir? Sir, please close. Camera, sir. Close.
You want us to hold this book?
You can hold the book. You have a copy of the book? Yes. Yes. Camera. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye. Good night. Till we meet again. Get back home safely. Watch the cricket match. Wish India to wish and eliminate Australia today.